In my hypothesis on the moon, I cover size, weight, mass, orbit shape and angle, distance from other objects, density, hundreds of years of recorded strange lights and craft and other phenomena, disk shape, number and size ratios and measurements, visual alignments, movement, sun imitation, age of rocks, big whack, double whack, proportions, binary coding, probability, inclination, apparent meteor hits, magnetism, inner and outer shells, inside structure, vibration, composition of elements, precision and precession, tidal lock, mascons, recurring numbers, periodicity and wobbling, volcanic activity, lava, and history. The synchronization between the Sun, Moon, Earth is more precise than a Swiss watch. This is way outside of random chance. There are many elements present on the Moon that don't occur naturally. The Moon is hollow in big areas. It has a hard shell. It rings like a bell. Craters are shallow. The Moon is 72 times bigger than an average moon and is in a nearly circular orbit in tidal lock. The Moon has no significant magnetic field but has magnetic rocks. By the 1970s, all theories about the way the Moon has formed were running into trouble. Acclaimed experts had to stand up in public and admit that they simply didn't know how or why the Moon was in the sky. William K. Hartman of the Planetary Science Institute, Tucson, Arizona, said in 1986, "Neither the Apollo astronauts, the Luna vehicles, nor all the king's horses and all the king's men could assemble enough data to explain the circumstances of the Moon's birth." This is what makes it such a fascinating subject to study. William K. Hartman and D.R. Davis proposed that the Moon had come into being as a result of the collision of two planetary bodies, one being the Earth and the other a rogue planet, at least as big as the planet Mars. Hartman and Davis hypothesized that the two planets had collided in a very specific way that came together to form the Moon. This is the flawed Big Whack theory. So weak was this theory, science then had to come up with the rather outrageous Double Whack theory. Now they were getting desperate, and they have remained so since. Isaac Asimov, the respected scientist and science fiction guru, described the perfect visual alignment of the Sun and Moon as being the most unlikely coincidence imaginable. He also said it is too good to be true. Robin Brett, a NASA researcher, stated that it seems easier to explain the non-existence of the Moon than it does to explain its existence. Erwin Shapiro, Harvard-Smithsonian Center for Astrophysics, said that the best explanation for the Moon is observational error. The Moon does not exist. Carl Sagan, professor of astronomy and space sciences and director of the Laboratory for Planetary Studies at Cornell University, said, "It is well understood that a natural satellite cannot be a hollow object. The problem, therefore, is simple. If the Moon is hollow, someone or something manufactured it." There are variations in the Moon's angular speed and apparent size as it moves towards and away from an observer on Earth. This is because a phenomenon called libration causes the Moon's viewing angle relative to Earth to change slightly over its orbit. Lunar libration is due to the fact that the Moon's orbit around Earth isn't a perfect circle. The Moon is slightly closer to the Earth than it is at other times. If a solar eclipse takes place when the Moon is furthest from the Earth, the Moon's disk looks smaller and can never totally blot out the Sun. Total eclipses of the Sun therefore happen when the Moon is on the part of its orbit that brings it closest to the Earth. When the Moon is closest to Earth, it is said to be at perigee, and when it is furthest away, it is at apogee. The reason why the Moon is not in a wildly elliptical orbit, but only slightly, is because, in effect, the Moon and Earth have a binary relationship and not the big planet-tiny moon relationship seen elsewhere in the solar system. Conventional astroscience struggles to explain this. Cratering on the Moon is easier to explain by electrical discharge than kinetic energy, meteor hits. The Moon's craters are shallow and symmetrical. Meteors should be coming in at all angles, not just perpendicular to the surface.